Yeah. So my name is Brahmayya Akella. I mean, Akella is it's a very typical family name. But in IIT, I used to be called Akela for whatever reason. So that name stayed with me right through IIT, and with all the jokes around Akela and all that. So that's how it used to be. So I did my mechanical engineer. Okay. I did my mechanical engineering in passed out in 76. It was a 5-year course. Though I'm from born brought up in Bombay, would have my first choice would have been Bombay, but then I'm told that for mechanical IIT Madras is the better choice, and for the rank that was the best option available. So that was a good decision on hindsight. It turned out to be like that. Then I went back, joined Tata Consulting Engineers, and there they gave me some work which was a very kind of a routine. I got bored of the job because at the entry level you don't really get interesting jobs. So I wanted to be in a particular group in Tata's. So they said no, only postgraduates and PhDs are allowed in this group. So immediately I finished up after the 1 year. I just resigned, left, went back to IIT Madras, decided to do my master's in control systems, and that's what the automation group was all about. And those days, IIT was one of the first few institutes to get a computer, a pretty large IBM 370, and so we were one of the first few people who were, allowed to work with the computers in those days. So we wanted to, in fact, it was my passion to kind of use computers for processes and control systems. And so it was a very new budding field. So I took up control systems for my MS. So 77 to 79, 2 years I spent in the campus, went back to Tata's, did my project with a real project there, submitted the thesis from there and got my degree in 83. So here the interesting thing was what I was working on was it was the first 500 megawatt plant in the country. So even to set it up and for people to be trained to work on it, so we had to build a simulator to run the plant. So for this simulator, we had to mathematically model the entire power plant, every component. So it was such a challenging and interesting job being done first time in the country. So that really kind of, I had to use all my skills to kind of deliver there. It was a large team. It wasn't that I was still at the entry level, but then we had that all the learnings of trying to write differential equations on our own for processes. I mean, it was a completely new challenge altogether. So it was almost a team of about 60 people who did this project. We delivered. It was a big success, in fact. So that was, going back. I mean, coming back to IIT and kind of going back to the industry. So it worked very well. Then, of course, after that, I worked. In fact, what happened was the field is such that when you have to get into this computer-controlled processes, industry can be anything, but the basic things remain the same. So I was asked to work on different projects. So I got an opportunity to work on a very wide range of interesting processes. And just to mention a few, I worked with the first computer-controlled cement plant in India. This was ACC cement plant in Madukkarai, somewhere near Coimbatore. So it was such an exciting thing, the first day when you start the plant and someone comes up and he wants to switch it on. And there's nothing else. It's only a computer that runs the plant. So those were all the challenges. Then So I had a career after TC. I worked for a brief while in DCM. Then after DCM, of course, I was transferred. I worked in Alstom, a French company, because they had NTPC order for six 500 megawatt plants, three in Ramagundam, three in Korba. So they were doing the first SCADA system, the complete control panel with computers to monitor the entire plant and to do supervisory control. So being among the first few in that field, so they just pulled me out from where I was working, and then they shifted me to Paris. So I lived in Paris for almost about 2.5 to 3 years. See, if someone's really taking up a real issue in the country, I think I'm open to help them. So this is one part, because there's no point solving imaginary problems. I mean, I've seen a lot of projects, a lot of kids want to work with technologies which are not really problems of India, but it's a problem of a different country altogether. Maybe they get an opportunity to work on a technology which is in demand outside. But my focus is more to do something here, and like drones and all that. Drones are not really meant for India, so it's for someone else. So here we have basic transport issues, like, or in fact, there are many fields. If you take simple product designs, simple things, there's so much room for improvement in this country. So so that is one. And of course, of late, it's become very fashionable for kids to start new companies, or startup is a big buzzword. But I think I would caution them a little, in the sense that uh, there are two, three challenges. We don't have very high risk capital. We have very low risk capital available in the country. So that is one. Second is, uh, only 1 in 20 companies in India really succeed as a startup. So the chances of success is very, very low. That is the second reason. The third is, most people who do a startup, they have a very good ideas, but then the revenue model, everything depends on the revenue model. Where is the money going to come from? In fact, what happened was, in one of the projects in touch phone itself, when we went to Nokia, we launched a product of our own called Taza. We had 3 million subscribers, which is not small, but then there was no money. So we just shut it down. I mean, we had to take those bold decisions. We said, no, nothing doing. We can't bleed like this. And in fact, someone else heard the story. He just closed his startup completely because he thought 3 million was a big number. And, so you have to see the money coming. And so I think first solve the revenue model. I think that's most important. If you have got the revenue model right, and revenue doesn't come without a problem which is real that you're solving, because someone will put money in something that gives a real benefit. It's not an imaginary thing. So I think if people have the revenue model right, and they've really analyzed an industry and worked that out, I think there's enormous potential, enormous room, especially in India, to do a lot of new things. So I think it's a great time for people, because in those days when we were there, I mean, that's a very wrong word which people don't like. Entrepreneurship was a much bigger challenge than it is today. Today, people are a lot more open to entrepreneurship, especially people who come from middle class families. So I think there's room for everything, and there's a lot more access to technology, information, and of course there's a lot of venture capital also available, provided people get the right parameters, the right ideas, and the right revenue models. So I think, yeah, I think the future is great, and I'm really hopeful of that.